o'clock here in Lagos, Nigeria. Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. I'm Kayode Okikulu. First, the highlights. Well, the killing of 134 people in 5 days across 3 local government areas in Benue State has continued to send shockers around the country. The president has ordered security to enhance surveillance, but Governor Samuel Ortom is asking for more. The former deputy governor of Nasarawa State, Professor Onje Giowadu, regains freedom after he was abducted on Friday from his residence. And in the spirit of the season, Taraba State Governor Darius Ishaku gets down on his knees and seeks forgiveness from God and the people as he winds down on his second term. Welcome everyone in Nigeria and outside the country to the program. Happy Easter Monday to all of you. I do wish that the season has been going well. Well, let's begin with the release of the abducted former deputy governor of Nasarawa State, Professor Onje Giowadu, from abductors. The state police public relations officer, Menace, confirmed this to Channels Television. Nansel said Professor Giowadu was released Sunday night by his abductors after sustained pressure from a search and rescue team. Mr. Wadu spent 2 days in captivity after he was abducted on Friday, April the 7th, when gunmen broke into his residence in Gwagi village of Wamba local government area of the state. Well, staying with security, communities across 3 local government areas in Benue State have been under a series of attacks by suspected herders in the past 1 week, leading to the death of at least 134 people. Well, this has thrown the communities into a sorrowful Easter, with Governor Samuel Ortom calling on President Muhammadu Buhari to match words with action by deploying more troops to halt the killings in Otukpo, Apa and Guma. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the nation's security service, the police and the military commanders to enhance surveillance and immediately review security management in communities under attacks in Benue State. He also condemned the use of terrorism as a tool in intercommunal conflict, directing that the attackers be found and dealt with swiftly under the law.
Since February the 25th, following the conduct of the presidential and National Assembly elections, attacks have been launched on rural communities in Kwande, Guma and Gwa local government areas of Benue State by suspected herders. Pockets of these attacks continued till Monday last week, when suspected herdsmen attacked and killed 47 people, including a traditional ruler in Ikobi community.
Last Monday, wake up to a surprise attack by the suspected Fulani herdsman at Ububi. And we they came and invaded the community, killed so many people, and even to kill the traditional rulers of Ububi community, Chief Samuel Adano. He was killed, and some other prominent sons of the community.
Within 48 hours, the attacks moved to Umogidi community of Entepa ward in Otukpo local government area, where 51 other people lost their lives. The Benue State Deputy Governor visits the area to assess the situation.
The figure as of today that has been authenticated is exactly 50. This is unpardonable, this is unacceptable, and this is something that we cannot continue to tolerate. And the message should be very clear. We cannot continue to do this.
Again, on Friday night, the attackers invaded Ngbam community in Guma local government area. Eyewitnesses, including a father who lost 2 sons, tell their stories.
I left the way I was sitting outside to my parlor, sitting with my children. Those 2 were the killed. One slept there. The other one, when he had gunshot, he was running. I don't know how they made him.
Lamenting the continued killings, Governor Samuel Ortom appeals for help from President Muhammadu Buhari.
Within the space of 1 week, we're having more than 100 people killed. And if that continues, it means we shall be completely annihilated from this country. And this is not right. And so the president has charged the security agencies to stand up to their responsibilities. They've been doing so much, that I know. I know the challenges they have, funding, equipment. They are grossly inadequate to cover all the areas. But something has to be done.
In all, we have received 38. A good number of them that survived and reached here were attacked with intent to kill. We reached that conclusion with ease because if you look at the nature of the injuries, they targeted their head and neck region. To the glory of God, the 38 that came here alive are all alive as we speak.
From the scenes of the Friday night attack, the governor visits survivors who are now receiving treatment at the State Teaching Hospital in Makurdi, the Benue State capital.
Well, for more on this sad string of massacre in Benue State, particularly how to end these attacks, we're joined by former intelligence chief, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, who's former director at the SSS. He joins us from Delta State this afternoon. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Ejiofor, on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the killings in Benue State have again reached an alarming height. Some will say we've been here before. For some of those residents, it's a very present challenge for them, having to watch their backs. They cannot sleep with their two eyes closed. And this, for this administration, it dates back to 2016. We've seen that the Agatu massacre, then the one we had in 2018, the one that claimed 72 lives, that's in January. And then we've been having a series of this in 2021 as well. We had, these attacks where the governor said 100 lives were taken. Now the latest one, 134 lives taken in 5 days. The president has given a marching order saying that the secret services, the police have to enhance, their operations. And the question is it that we've not learned from what we've seen happen in the past, or what exactly do you perceive going on?
Well, the situation in Benue is quite disturbing. The killings are becoming too many, especially at this festive period. And like the governor said, he has expressed concern. The president has expressed concern. It does not sufficient to express concern. What we should be doing is, how do we tackle this problem? Because the primary purpose of government is the welfare and security of the people. I don't see how we can continue like this. It's quite disturbing. And we need to change tactics. We need to change our methodology, want to explore and think things are right, especially in this Benue state. People have called for, I think, the government. We are talking of the immediate solution now, but I think the major solution to all these problem is localization of our policing of the communities. You have the vigilante, but they are not properly armed, just like the police is insufficient. You saw the governor mentioning it. Underfunding, inadequate funding, lack of personnel, they are not there to go. And these people operate freely in the communities. It's quite disturbing. We need to change our tactics to ensure that the situation is brought under control. Otherwise, people will begin to go for self-help, which is not good for us.
In the president's statement where he asked for stepping up of surveillance and all, he also condemned the use of terrorism as a tool in inter-communal conflict, and he directed that the attackers be found and dealt with. Again, as I said, we've been here before. Looks like the president has, of course, as you'll expect, more intelligence, more information, and he's particularly speaking to inter-communal conflicts, that terrorism should not be used. So when people have said this is more than just intercommunal conflict. It is a targeted attack, or sets of targeted attacks by suspected herders. So how do you think this should be approached then? Is it as, mere intercommunal conflict or as terrorism, which the president alluded to both of them in his statement?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that these herders cannot be properly identified, and they're continuously operating in that very particular area. It's something that we need to change. Like I said, change tactics. The president has given directive, the governor has given directive, but we also need to involve the communities. You see, terror, you can't use terror to also check terror. If the communities rise against this, and the question is, how do these people operate freely without any resistance? And people are massacred, traditional rulers, dignitaries are killed in that unchecked, and no arrests are made. It's quite disturbing. And I think we need to look into some areas. Maybe the president and the governor have to have stakeholders meeting within that area to see how this thing can be brought. I'm sure some of the leaders or the headers must be identified. These headers and the community in Benue's crisis that is been long for a very long, it's prolonged, and we need to bring it to a halt.
Well, two issues I would also like you to speak to, Mr. Ejiofor. One is intelligence gathering. In fact, first on the list of the security agencies that the president spoke about was the nation's secret services. This is an area that you're well aware of. You've operated in this for decades. And if you could point to maybe one challenge that intelligence gathering has in Nigeria and has battled with time and again, because I think this, rests at the table of intelligence gathering. If these attacks are about to happen, you expect that the security agencies have some sort of intelligence so that these things do not happen on them, and what we're doing is then trying to catch up with the attacker. So what is a major challenge of intelligence gathering?
Well, major challenge of intelligence gathering. You see, when people talk about intelligence gathering, they talk as if we are operating from the moon or outside Nigeria. It's a system that is a systemic problem. But as it is now, I think the government should concentrate efforts on improving technology, especially drones, and so that you see when these people are moving in the area, if some of them can be identified and get our efforts. Everybody should be involved, not just the community. Get our efforts involved. Even if we provide intelligence that there's going to be an attack and there is no sufficient manpower or equipment to take on these people, it becomes a problem. The intelligence becomes useless. So I think all hands must be on deck. We deploy the efforts, the army, and see how these people are coming to see how we can solve the problem. I am disturbed, very, very disturbed by what is going on in Benue State.
And I think another point that will disturb a lot of people is the recent abduction of that former deputy governor in Nasarawa State. And it just points to the fact that, well, anybody can actually be affected, by insecurity in the country. For Governor Samuel Ortom, he's asked time and again for the Benue State security outfits, the volunteer guards, to be armed appropriately so they can combat these attackers. That's a request that he has made to the president not once. And I wonder, would now be a good time to review the stance, especially the president's stance on how to approach state security outfits so that they can better combat threats?
Honestly, I'm in full support of the call by the government to arm the vigilantes, because if they are armed, you have the state security outfit that is not armed. So what do you expect them to do? To go and commit suicide? Look at the situation in Ondo State, for instance. When the Amoteku was launched, I think I continue to use Ondo as a model in terms of the operations of the security outfit like the Amoteku. They should be allowed to carry arms, not just the arms they are carrying. If the bandits can come with AK-47, all kinds of arms to be attacked, so why not allow the security? But they must be supervised by the regular police and the regular armed forces. They must be supervised. You can see now that there's tension everywhere. Since after the election, the kidnapping banditry has returned. So we can't fold our hands. The swearing in is next month. So we need to up our games in terms of security protection to Nigerians before the next handover. Otherwise, these people are going to destabilize the whole country and make the country ungovernable.
And I mean, without security, nothing much can be done. We'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Mike Ija, former director at the SSS, for your contributions on the program and for taking time out of your Easter holiday to speak with us. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break now, and when we return, all eyes on the incoming administration, both at the executive and the legislative levels, what the leadership will throw up, and the factors that should be considered. That's in a moment. Stay with us. Well, welcome back. Well, we continue with the program and we turn our attention to the National Assembly. With the 2023 general elections done, attention gradually shifts to the incoming 10th National Assembly and the emergence of its presiding officers. Now, while those aspiring for the positions have been engaged in the usual horse trading, a 5-term lawmaker in the House of Representatives, Honorable Oluwole Oke, has been speaking on the factors to be considered in choosing who to lead the 10th Assembly. And for him, ethnicity should not be the deciding factor. He was a guest on our breakfast program, Sunrise Daily.
I would prefer a situation where we look at programs and policies that will benefit majority Nigerians generally. From my experience in the parliament, I've seen speaker being zoned to one zone or the other, and you can ask those zones what they have benefited from such exercise. But what is important will have been programs that Nigerians will benefit from, irrespective of where they come from, rather than talking about sacrificing merit on the altar of zones. At the end of the day, you don't get anything out of it. Just like you observe, you may be compensating people personally with their personal gains and all that. But when it comes to society benefiting from a government, I think it is better to put people to consider competence, capacity, experience, and people who can deliver the job. And when you put in place good programs that Nigerians benefit from, let me give you an example. Look at the social investment program of President Muhammadu Buhari. It's a very fine, beautiful program that Nigerians would have benefited from, but it was not implemented properly. There was no law, there was no rule of engagement, there was no law guiding it.
Meanwhile, for legal practitioner Mr. Victor Giwa, there should be an interplay of competence and Nigeria's ethnic realities. Take a listen.
The same problem in the north is happening in the south, it's in the west, it's in the east. So what I am saying, therefore, that in exercising whether you have come from a particular region, emphasis should be to what can you do from the country? What is your alienation? What directs your actions? What do you put into consideration when you are taking the activities of your state? What is your precedent? You don't make somebody a leader whose precedent and history has been questionable. If you want a particular candidate from the southeast or from the northeast, the question we must ask ourselves as a political party, because your question is, what will the political party do? Is what are they bringing to the table? What is this person's history? What did they do in the past? What can he do now? What is his understanding about the peculiar problem in Nigeria? Nigeria needs a country that can a united country. Nigeria needs people who can give us a sense of direction. Nigeria needs people who can connect to them. Nigeria does not need people who have a landlord mentality.
Well, let's bring you more now. An academic and legal luminary, Professor Ichisage, has been speaking on the first set of goals ahead of the incoming administration and the need to tackle them headlong. Speaking on our political program, Sunday Politics, Professor Sage asks the President-elect, Senator Bola Tinubu, to quickly look into strengthening security and the economy. He wants the idea of subsidy removal to be jettisoned until stability is attained in the oil and gas sector.
Its major priority to the long term should be restructuring. I have no doubt about that. That Nigeria has to go back to what it was by 1963 if it is going to be a productive and developed country again. What it should do first, as far as I'm concerned, the first thing, security. We have to make this country secure so that we can do our farming, go about our businesses without fear. The terrorism of these people coming from the forests to destroy us is simply unbearable. So that is the first thing it should do. That's first. The second thing it should do, all right, it has to do with the economics of the country. Petroleum, for example, I do not agree that the subsidy should be removed without us producing refined petrol in this country. Let him not be deceived. Anyone telling him remove subsidy is trying to ground his party and make him unpopular. So the subsidy must continue until refineries, Dangote, federal government, all the refineries, some refineries at least begin to work. Now when we start producing petrol internally in the country, the cost of petrol products will drop sharply. The new government will then budget for it afresh. Simple as that. And then continue it until our refineries start to work, at least for Dangote, that has been a source of frustration for Nigerians. What is happening there, nobody knows. The government needs to go there and find out what's going on and set it right and let Dangote start producing petrol. So I would not, personally, would not remove subsidy before we have local refined products.
I want to ask for forgiveness for all those I have offended, knowingly, overtly, and unknowingly. I want to kneel down and say, God, I do.
You see a rather rare side of Taraba State Governor Darius Ishaku getting on his knees and asking for forgiveness from God and those he may have wronged. The governor, who joined a host of others to celebrate Easter at the Anglican Communion Jalingo Diocese, turned emotional as he used the opportunity to seek for residents' forgiveness, especially those he stepped on their toes while governing the state. As his administration winds down, he insists he has done his best for the state and can never claim to be a superstar, just as he appeals to the striking lecturers in the state varsity to reconsider their action.
Any leader who have led a state for 8 years must have offended so many people, and I thought I should, in my thank well service, to openly apologize for those I might have offended, either deliberately or in the course of my duty to forgive me. I think biblically we're taught to forgive those who have offended or those who offend us. In this case, I'm asking for those I have offended to forgive me. And for those who think they will make my retirement an impossible thing, God should take charge and deal accordingly with them. Because all the decisions I've taken in this state, I've taken them in good faith, I've taken it in the fear of God, I've taken it to reduce casualties of citizens, and I have no regret. So all the jobs I do and they say it's a good job, it's a good job, is because of the imbibe, the inner teachings of the faith, Christian faith, in us, to be fair, to do justice, and to fear God in all manner.
After all, it's Easter, the season of forgiveness of sins. So we'll stay with politics. The acting chairman of the Labour Party, Lamidi Akpakpa, has asked party members not to allow the pronouncement by the court over the setting aside of former chairman, that's Julius Aburi, to divide the party. Speaking on our political program, Mr. Akpakpa claims he is a substantive acting chairman of a party. Former chairman Julius Aburi waits till the courts say otherwise.
They were not fitted with the real one that happened in Abuja, which has to do with criminal aspects. I regarded them as if it is ignorant. No human being will allow criminality to stay. And I believe nobody as a Nigerian is above the law. The Labour Party law is clear enough that if the chairman of the party, for whatever reason, is unable to perform his functions, the deputy will take over. It is very clear, notwithstanding the situation. And in this case now, this does not require a whole Nigeria to take action, because this is court injunction that the four principal officers, I want to say, must not or should not regard themselves as principals of the party. Now, if that has happened, what else? The next person should take over. As of today, I'm the acting national chairman of the party.
And the dust raised by the outcome of the March 18th governorship and State House of Assembly elections in Ogun State is yet to settle, as 16 House of Assembly candidates of the People's Democratic Party in the state who lost to the APC have submitted their respective petitions to the Election Petition Tribunal in Abeokuta, the state capital. And the grounds of the PDP Assembly candidates include non-compliant and non-lawful votes obtained by the APC candidates who were returned as elected members of the Ogun State House of Assembly for the respective state constituencies. The voluminous petition, backed with the citing of several infractions, which include disruption of polling units, violence, snatching of ballot boxes, and others, pleaded the tribunal to order the return of the PDP candidates who believe they polled more votes. And ahead of the forthcoming ward, local and state congresses of the People's Democratic Party Osun State chapter slated for this month, the party has called on its members to conduct themselves peacefully and keep within the rules of the party, with an assurance that there will be fairness, transparency and inclusiveness in the conduct of the congresses. The party, in a statement issued in Osogbo, the state capital, by its caretaker chairman, Dr. Adekunle Akindele, disclosed this, saying that no court has stopped the holding of the congresses and that all members in the outstanding wards where congresses will hold will be fully carried along, as well as all the relevant stakeholders and delegates in the local and state congresses of the party. Well, that's the lunchtime updates from across the states of the country. And that's our package for this afternoon. But remember, you can always catch up on all of the breaking political stories and much more on our website, channelstv.com, and across these social media platforms. Join the conversation. Well, that's the package. Now that you've been served, to have a fantastic Easter Monday. Goodbye. I'm Kayode Okikele.